Services Committee meeting Thursday, March 27th, no, that's Jacob's. It's April,
May.
May 8th,
There it is.
2025,
Yeah,
6:30. Item 2, roll call. Steve Bishop,
Here.
Jennifer Therian,
Here.
Edward Rankin here. Item 3, Facilities Director discussion.
Our assistant manager is not in the room at the moment, but the reason this is on the agenda tonight is that we've continued to look for ways to make this budget as economical as possible and as efficient. And so we were thinking about what are we doing now in using a person for this work. And what we're doing right now is we take somebody out of highway to do this. But we don't do it with any schedule or planning that would allow highway to have a plan to do their work without us saying, oh, by the way, give me X or give me Y. And that's disruptive to them, and this individual ends up with us anyway. And so the idea was to post an internal job opening in highway for the facilities position and reduce the crew by 1 by moving that person into the facilities position. They would still have plowing responsibilities for parking lots and things in the winter, but that's when the waterfront and stuff is dormant because we don't do anything with it, waterfront in the winter. And in doing so, it would not add that additional position to the budget. You know, we wouldn't be adding a staff member overall. We'd be redistributing what we have. We spoke to Jay about it in terms of if he had a more predictable way to know that his workforce was going to stay in highway instead of being dragged out all the time with that. And that this person was scheduled as facilities under the direction of the town manager, that also removes Rich's, although, you know, getting him to stop is going to take I don't know what, but seriously, but it would take the responsibility that he currently has away from him and allow that position to report to the manager and have these additional responsibilities. And it would not increase the budget by $85,000 this year, which is the net impact of it, of doing it in the way that we're looking at, as opposed to just putting a new position, which is the $100,000 addition to Parliament. That is, as I said, we continue to look at this budget for ways to be responsible with what we need to do, but also be as economical as possible in the way that we do it. And making that kind of a change you can't see it in this budget, but brings the percentage increase from a beginning of 11 point something down to, I think, 5.4. And there are a few other things that when we get to discussing expenses tonight that we've identified that may be able to reduce that a bit further. This is a process, indeed, not an event, but I started, Jacob, because you were not in the room.
I'm
but
sorry.
No, that's okay. I just was explaining our thought process for doing an internal posting to see if that was a way to reorganize staffing without being detrimental to, because the fact of the matter is, we're already utilizing this. We're just not doing it in any structured way that allows Jay to plan his work or do that kind of stuff, because he never knows when we're gonna take people away.
And that individual would still be assigned to Jay in the wintertime for plowing.
That person would be still responsible for plowing the parking lots and in the downtown area. That would be part of their job as facilities.
Perfect.
They would report to the manager.
Okay.
It's not a split responsibility. It's not a split reporting. The reporting stays with the manager. But the assignment for takes care of the fact that it doesn't disrupt the routes that Jay has established for.
Right. And that would be a little bit more schedule specific for the parking lots and the businesses downtown with that. I would kind of dial that in a little bit more. Okay.
What, can we just do a quick rundown of the duties expected of this facilities director again?
Well, I can come up front. Certainly, as you all know, it has changed a little bit over time, but the way that it's worded in the description is it's handyman services such as painting a wall or, replacing a piece of trim, replacing a window, something along those lines. Supervision of the waterfront and the staff on the waterfront. It's creating not a capital improvement plan, but a building and facilities plan that would be used during the capital improvement process that outlines, this is the building, this is what needs to occur at the building, this is the cost, this is when it needs to be done by, and prioritizing, prioritizing each item within the building. It is, what am I missing?
Events?
I know that it's worded, it was worded kind of funny in the posting, but all that means is that it's coordinating
Staff.
enough staff to be present at those events. It's not giving input on events or trying to schedule anything other than staff to remove trash, on the Bay Festival, for instance. That's the only thing in relation to events that it would look at.
And where are we at with the cleaning of all the municipal buildings?
Well, our recommendation is that that the council consider keeping the cleaning contract at public safety with the current vendor that we have now, and between town staff here and with a little bit of help from the facilities director, we're very confident that we can do that on our own. We can empty our own trash and we can empty our recycle buckets and we can run a vacuum every now and then when we have to. We're very capable of doing that.
My
And
big one was the public safety.
Yeah, that like we said, that, and not to speak for Director Gagan, but the public safety building is a different beast in itself because it's 24/7, 365 with 3 departments operating out of it, and that is a much different, looks much different than this office does, open 4 days a week, from 7:30 to 5:30. So I think that those are the biggest things. I'm sure that I am forgetting something.
The waterfront supervision, and it's really waterfront Main Street, because the flowers are part of that kind of thing, and the developing a plan for each building, which will take time, consultation with department heads and all that kind of thing to come up with, which will be very beneficial for the council. I think you all had tours now to have a better understanding of what facilities are, but as I said, the desire isn't to handicap public works. It really is to sort of make a more organized operation instead of, because he is, I think Jay would agree, they've pretty much lost a person, they lose a person from April to October.
Right.
Because they're here. And they're responding to something that Rich has told them, and that we could take the middleman out of this process. Rich is the middleman.
Do you have a sense there will be an in-house applicant? Or
Yes.
you
I
do?
think so.
So with their vehicle, obviously, is gonna be one of the four-wheel drive plow trucks.
Yeah.
And we've discussed that, and there really wouldn't be a need for that in the summer months, depending on what Jay's fleet is looking like. But they would certainly need one in the winter time when they've got the in-town parking lot routes. But I mean, you've got a spare truck, somebody. So we wouldn't purchase anything additional for this individual because we already have the equipment. The other thing that I didn't mention is having someone for jobs that are too big to do in-house, having somebody that can come up with some specs and coordinate RFPs and work with vendors, be the point of contact with some of these vendors to coordinate the work is very valuable as well.
My last question on it would be, the town dock will be under their supervision.
That's correct.
The marina would stay with Rich, the waterfront and the town dock would be under this person's supervision.
I guess I've never seen one of these cruise ships tie up. Does Mike take lines
Mike
for that?
does all that.
So Mike would still do that?
Mike is still gonna do all the stuff Mike does.
Yeah.
Mike's the harbor master.
Because that was a concern of mine of,
He's
no
the
line
harbor
handling
master and
skills.
his daughter is the deputy harbor master.
Yeah.
Their responsibilities for the town dock are to do that kind of work. And also he's the marina manager and she works at the marina. So those responsibilities related to the marina's operation, there's Rich's oversight of that marina is not he's gonna go pump gas or run the bank deposits. We've had those discussions.
So what will the oversight be of the facilities director at the town dock? What will they be doing?
Just making sure that if there was an issue with a ramp or if there, it is the facility itself that they're dealing with. If there's a repair that needs to be made, if there's that kind of stuff, ensuring, I'm sure, discussing with Mike and or Jess what the schedule is, making sure somebody's always gonna be there when they've got whatever boat coming in that does it. But Mike does a really good job of keeping track of that, monitoring that, all those kind of things. But the facilities piece, at the end of the day, relates as much to structural issues as it does to, there'd be, in my mind, very little supervision necessary of people docking the ships.
Okay.
They would have, because the people that work the waterfront sometimes help with taking trash from the cruise ships. That the coordination of those workers to be able to do that is another thing that a facilities person would be making sure that people were where they're supposed to be when they needed to be in order to do that kind of work.
Okay.
think this is a great idea. Perfect. This is resource management at its finest, and we need that right now terribly. So, did everyone get to tour different buildings, all the buildings? Did anyone have any thoughts they would like to share before I share some of mine?
Well, I have lots of concerns with a couple buildings, but that's a discussion for a different day.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of maintenance issues that need to be addressed, but we also have a lot of procedural things that need to be addressed. For instance, how many people toured the town pool?
I did not.
You guys didn't tour that building at all? I'm the only one that toured that building. Well, that might be a good thing.
I'm in there fairly regularly with a little friend of mine every summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should go take a look at it before things get cleaned up, because it was not cleaned up before it was shut down for the winter. And we can and will do way better than the state that building is in right now. I was beyond unimpressed with the way it was left for the winter, but these are the things that are not the fault of any one particular individual, because no one oversees that. That is not a thing.
Speaks to the need sort of for a
Abs-
central person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are the types of management scenarios that need to be addressed with things that are
When
here.
something is shut down for the season, inspection to make sure that it's done appropriately.
Right, here seasonal, and that really, for me, showed the impact of a lot of the different things that we have seasonally to implement things that would happen on a regular schedule, that right now we're just running around trying to put Band-Aids on, so.
Never thought about getting over to that building. Jacob and I did go through the building over by the ice rink. And that seems to have potential, I think, my opinion, for be a good space for the facilities person. It's heat pump, building's in good shape, has a bathroom, has plenty of storage, etc. I thought the ice rink was a disgrace. I think it should be torn down and taken away.
I'll agree with half of that statement, that, well, yeah, all of it, but the context being that we've let it go. If we had have got ahead of that and maintained it, then we could have saved it, preserved that. But given the fact that our winters have not been true deep freeze winters to allow the function of it, now that is that far gone, the cost of reinstituting what we once had does not justify the 2 weeks a year we may be able to use it. And I am sad about that, honestly, both based on the winters and the condition of it.
Well, there's close by rinks now, up in Brewer, you can go for family skating, etc., and different activities up there, so, I mean, things have changed to a degree.
There's options we can weigh and put in later, but on our priority list and the amount of money that would cost, that's gonna take a back seat for a while.
I think what I learned the most, sort of touring public safety building, was it's such a well kept up building by the team that's there. Except when you walk around any building, you notice things like a concrete crack or something, and to have a dedicated staff person who's a big part of their position is to assess things that you don't actually assess unless you're looking for trouble, right? We need somebody to look for trouble and prevent it, as far as building structures and
Did
things
you
like
go
that.
through the treatment plant yet?
No.
What gets measured gets attended to, yep.
Okay,
It's an adventure.
I take your word for it. But I just feel like there's an advantage to dedicated assessment rather than sort of reactive assessment.
Exactly,
Looking at
yes.
buildings.
The public safety building is a long-term planning scenario.
Yeah.
The roof, the windows, those things that are starting to go now are the things that need to be assessed so we can be successful in the future with that without it completely crippling it.
Some of it though, a lot of it, a facilities director could go in and
Absolutely.
put a list and knock a lot of it out very quickly, with some help from us with
Of course,
money.
Yeah.
It's gonna need money.
Yes.
but it's cheaper to do it before it goes than, yeah.
The dispatch windows, for example, those have always leaked. As long as I've been around, all of it, they have always leaked in severe or in rainstorms where there's wind, and that's most of the time. And when we were
Door
there,
seals.
when we were there touring, the seals, I mean, there were towels right there ready to go for when that happened, and I mean, these are things that need to be dealt with.
A big takeaway for me, both public safety and the garage, where we can't be asking any more of anyone to try to fix their own problems and find answers. You know, it just seemed like they're literally coming up with solutions for things and doing the best they can with what they have. I mean, I think we're really fortunate with that. But then the list kept ticking up of the things that do need to be done, which is,
Yeah, I think this is a great proposal. I think it's great resource management. It's not gonna have any impact on our overall budget increase in regards to our employee expenses. That's correct, Sue?
That's right.
And I think that's a great way to handle it.
In a perfect world, I would have loved to have brought somebody else on without switching, but we're not in that perfect world.
Correct.
So I think this is a really good way.
In a perfect world, we would have had a large, we would have had an income, we would have had an economic driver behind us for the last 11 years that we have not, to keep us out of this position. But since we're playing defense, this is a good way to do it.
It'll be interesting to see the capacity we gain back by having a schedule and having it, as somebody who does staffing models, that efficiency that sometimes you gain back from just the scheduling and the preemptive, making sure things get done without, you've had the capacity for this work to be done for however long we've been talking about it, but nobody to do it. And now we're putting that capacity into the work, so to speak. And I think it's really gonna be interesting to observe the efficiency we gain there.
I agree. Based on the amount of work that we saw, I honestly think it's gonna be a couple of years before we can actually get a handle on
And then
on where we actually are because of how far behind we
Yep,
actually
and it
are.
allows us to prioritize and plan.
Yeah.
And
Cause
Oh, go ahead, Sue.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
And I also think that will allow Jay a better planning opportunity for his staff, knowing that we're not gonna call him every 13 minutes or he's not gonna just have given him up anyway.
And whoever the employee is, it will help them too, I'm sure, to sort of know what their day may be.
Well, like, it's I know that it's been difficult, he's planned work that takes X number of people, and I take, because the time when the majority of this happens is summer in public works, that's when they can take vacations, because they can't take them in the winter, because it's plowing season. So from May to September, somebody's gone every single week. So you're always left with an odd number of people, which means, so the odd number, which can't really do something by themselves, would be the facilities, and the remaining 4 can be scheduled to do the edging and the other kind of things that have not had as much of an opportunity because we've turned part of public works into facilities instead of their maintenance operations. So I think it will be interesting over the next year, if you move forward with that, to sort of both Jacob and Jay to sort of keep track of what's been able to get done under a more structured thing. And certainly on Rich's part, the amount of additional time that's available to him for economic development activities, which is really where his strength and his abilities for the community are best invested.
Which is where we've been pulling capacity from.
That's
So we'll
correct.
gain that back too.
Between pulling him away from economic development and pulling people away from Jay, the intent has always been good, but I believe a more structured. And in a perfect world, with something that had been built 5 or 6 years ago when it was supposed to, and we were having $1 million in new taxes in the coffers, it might have been a different discussion. but that's not where we are.
What we can't see is this person can't be the dumping ground of, they'll do it, let's throw that at them, they'll do it.
And no,
That
that-
can't
that-
happen, cause you're gonna lose them.
Well, the expectation, I believe, and Jacob can speak to that, is not that the minute someone dials somebody's cell phone, that somebody runs in some direction right that second to do, there's a, unless something's on fire, and then it's the fire department's issue, unless something's mission critical at the time someone makes a phone call, it can wait till the next day's thing to be, and that's, we've not always been responding that way. Rich tends to, the minute that, you know,
He jumps right on it, which
I understand.
can't happen.
It's not sustainable in the long term for anyone to, it's making him,
I mean, 8 o'clock at night, if somebody calls me and tells me that somebody made a mess in the bathroom, okay, I'll look at it tomorrow. I'm not coming down tonight.
exactly. I might come down and lock the door and put a sign on it, but we'll deal with it.
What's the proposed structure of this individual in regards to the bargaining unit? If they are currently in the bargaining unit under the highway now, they
They're no longer a highway employee.
no longer a highway employee, no longer.
That's for,
Alright, thank you. I have no issue with that, it's just a,
well, no, that is, you know, that is, although we've discussed this with Jay, I'm not sure that it's been discussed with everybody else, and I'm sure that there may be people who are less than excited about this, but Jacob and I have discussed this a lot recently, that as much as nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings, we really have to look at what is for the good of the organization. And if people aren't being asked to do more than they were asked to do before, or do some different thing, that these kind of decisions in the best interest of the community have to happen. We don't have the
Okay.
luxury of,
We're running out of time, but what's the
make a motion to send to council.
motion?
Second motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Item 4 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Hold on,
There we go.
I can't believe he cut Sue off like that.
I'm gonna get a paper